Yeah, yeah, it's just new slangs and the language evolves, meanings evolve. So yeah, if there's a lot of people who are fluent in a language, but even me, I've been here for 13 years. So yeah, maybe some slangs that I used 13 years ago, 14 years ago are
Wow.
no longer applicable. So yeah, you have to kind of study the culture and learn new slangs that the kids are using so that the song sounds
Totally.
exciting the way that you want it to. Another song that has English and Spanglish version is Toys, which
Uh-huh.
seems very straightforward. And
Yeah.
is it as straightforward as I think it is? Do you have a different meaning
Yeah.
for
Oh,
it?
yeah.
How would you
Definitely.
describe
Well, yeah.
it?
So let me tell you. So this was one where I did not expect to write a song like this. I will say that. I was obviously, I mean, the track is so Britney inspired. You can hear, I mean, it oozes this sort of blackout era, this sort of,
Totally.
sexy vocal, And I definitely wanted a song that was like, when we were writing, I was like, I want a track that's like, I can myself better than anybody else. And so when we were writing, she was like, well, like, we came up with a bunch of concepts and like all these things. And, what do we use? But toys. And I was like, yeah, I use them. And she was like, oh, you do? What about? And so we went in and I realized, yeah, I guess not to be shameless, but I feel like we all do it. Like, we all pleasure ourselves. We all seek pleasure in different ways. And what's beautiful about it is that it is unique to every person. Like
Yeah.
everything is a someone and everyone has what they do in their safe space to pleasure themselves. And so yeah, I it also lives in this world of like confidence and this world of
Yes.
like of self-love because if I'm writing all these things about this album's all about loving yourself in so many ways, like metaphorically in your mental health and and how you lead your life, but also like I wanted to track about like loving yourself in a physical way.
Of
And
course.
so yeah, it is a very real song for me. It is very real. I I I I I wanted to make it clear that I can take care of myself very well. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was in a period of my life where I was super single and I mean, still single, but, um, I was just like kind of owning up this fact of like, yeah, and so, and, and yeah, it is very, it's interesting to kind of even talk about it. It's funny. I'm blushing through my blush right now talking about it, but yeah, like, and it's such a part of a queer culture as well. Like, like it's
Completely.
queer culture is so sex positive and as it should be. And so I was like, fuck yeah. Yeah, I use toys and I'm really good at it. And you know what? Let's because I wanted a song that was like, I can fuck me better than you ever could, sir. So that's what it ended up being. I'll just use my toys.
Yeah.
And and it was that one was actually really fun for me to write harmonic like melodically because like every single like harmony, every ad lib. I'm a very meticulously like vocally led that song. I knew exactly like from the style like the from the what's the point? I miss you my time, baby. And like like there were all these like it was just very that
Yeah.
song was super important to me because it was like I'm like if this is gonna be my nasty song. I was like, I'm gonna give it to you. And the reason I did not want to I that was not my first choice to put to translate because obviously toys is juguetes and juguetes is not the same word for those kind of toys
Nope.
and at all. And so I was a little anxious about that. However, when we were writing these, the English versions, that one just stuck out as like such a bop. And it so oozes this all of my inspirations and the beat is so fucking like
So good.
that my producer my team was like Laguna, we think this one is like they as one of the strongest tracks on the record. So I was like, let's go. And also it's a little dangerous, right? Like it's a little I would say I was a little scared at first, especially with everything that happened last year and this attack on drag queens in general. I was like, God, not me being, you know, honest about what we should all feel safe doing and by ourselves. But like, but I'm glad that I did, and and I'm very proud of it, and I think it's fun and sexy, and yeah, I have a lot of
Yeah.
them.
Well, two things. I think you're right. This is kind of a part of queer culture, but I think we're also at a place where we're now normalizing women talking about it, women just
Yeah,
openly, huge female celebrities just talking about, what they do and what they use and whatever, and then we're just normalizing that across the board. And I also think metaphorically, a toy can mean anything to anyone, even a hookup
exactly,
can be like just a toy. It's just a toy. I
exactly.
don't need
Ex
someone to be that serious. So there's just a broad spectrum of interpretations that one can walk away
Oh,
from.
absolutely. I mean, toys can be, window shopping, toys can be, actually shopping, toys like you said, toys can be a hookup. That's why, conceptually for the album imagery, I had a boy toy, Mr. Nick Adams, Broadway's Nick Adams. We became really good friends during Drag the Musical. And when I was building the creative campaign behind it, I was like, what is gonna be my toy? Like, and then I was like, no, he's the toy. He is. And like,
Yeah,
like have this beautiful like Adonis, like all for me. And so that's what kind
hey,
of what like it's interesting to see you or hear you say, because even though it is very literal for me, I love that. Yes, it is also can be
it
many things. I
is.
mean, that's my favorite thing about music is that it can mean anything to anyone. So
And that's another, I was going to get to that point because that's another just general perception that I have of the album that I feel like because we're in an era of TikTok, I think this current or in the past few years, pop music has become these sound bites, which are usually about the beats, which are usually about the melody, which are usually about saying something in an odd way that sounds good for you to use on a TikTok video. And I'm glad that it feels like we're now returning to this idea of pop music that I think you grew up with, and I grew up with, which is like pop music actually reveals the truth about the artist through these simple
absolutely.
lyrics, through these literal lyrics, but a universal truth to everyone that relates to your perspective. And I think we're kind of missing that right now because of this TikTokification of like sound bites. And I think with Ariana, yes, and era, and even the new Beyonce stuff, I think we're going back to this idea of pop meaning something more than just a fun sound. And I think Toys and other songs in your album really do that. It goes back to that specificity and finding universal meaning through specificity and literal
Thank you.
lyrics, but that can mean a lot more.
Totally, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I've actually already started working on new music too. And I'm actually planning a deluxe version of this album with a few new tracks. And it's interesting returning to the studio after a year and like building upon this again and how much that speaks so much to me and how something that I say a lot is that like my music has my shit in it. And so
Yeah,
like this album is so, I mean, it sounds bubblegum and it sounds like confident and it sounds like all these things, but the reality is that I healed through it. And it was a huge challenge for me to write so many positive, beautiful things about myself. It was really hard. There were moments where I was like, this is too much. I can't say that. I can't write a song about this. Like, no, it's too, and I had to stop and like stop second guessing, stop overthinking, and just like really show who I am. And so I love to hear that. And I agree. I would love to see our return to that because I as much as I would love to go viral on TikTok, and as great as that could be, that would be amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm
right.
not docking it, not knocking it. But yeah, I agree. We come from a world of like bodies of work speaking very boldly for artists, and I'm um I'm so happy that this like bop filled little bowl of like sea saltwater taffy, this candy, is has some gems in the middle of it. Does that make sense? Like you can
Yeah.
you can really see it. So Thank
Yeah,
you. I'm so happy.
you can interpret it, and that's I think the pop that we grew up with, and that I feel like it's coming back now. You can interpret it just literally. You can just listen to a song. Oh, she's saying yes, and or she's saying toys, and that's it. Or you have the option to explore a different layer of this song, and that's what I think we grew up on. That like there was
Oh,
this
of
very
course.
literal interface meaning, but then there was this
Right.
other meaning, and it's just exciting to see that come back. Um, I wanted to get through to your collaboration with Alaska, Boom 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 Boom,
Yes.
who such an amazing song. Love Alaska, great musician. You have a great long-standing relationship collaborating with songs in her album and doing Drive the Musical. So how was it that this song came together for your album?
Well, I wanted to do a song that was like unexpected for me, but something that everybody knew and everybody like wanted, something that was like just a big bowl of nostalgia for everyone,
Right.
right? And so I was just like looking through, all these different songs and Boom 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 stuck out to me because I was like, wait a minute, like, whoa. I was like, wait, this is so fun and like whoa, this is so fun. Like, wait, and then I looked and there's not really a cover of it. And I was like, okay, work. And
That's true.
as I was, sorry.
That's
Oh yeah.
true. It's such
As
a
I was,
huge song, but yeah,
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 there's like remixes and stuff, but there aren't any covers of it. And that was
right.
important to me. I was like, I want to do, like whenever I pick covers, I'm like, I'm like, okay, has this been covered before? Is it different? Whatever. So it hadn't been covered before. And I knew that I wanted Alaska on a track. Like I knew we've known each other for a long time. She's always been such a champion for me. I love her. She's always made space for me. She's probably like she's probably one of my favorite drag queens, if not my favorite. She has just always made space for me. She's always seen me, always given me opportunities, and like always lifted me up and supported me and spoken for me in rooms where I'm not in. Like she's just such a champion for me. And so obviously I was like, oh my God, I would love, I was like, how can I get her on this record? In a way, that was like still pop forward, in a way that hinted to this obviously the camp of drag, but was still like in a very pop forward way. And so we were building the album and we got to Boom 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 and I was like, this is perfect. I was like, wait, Alaska needs to be on this. Like, oh my God. And me and my producer Tomas, who is really good friends with Alaska. Tomas, this team that I work with actually has produced a lot of music for Alaska. So they're very tight. So I remember being in the studio, we finished recording, and I literally like hit her up. She was getting something. I don't know, she was getting her nails done or something. And I was like, hey, I was like, Alaska, can you come over and like I just come sing like a chorus and like I just need you to say something, whatever. And she was like, yes, absolutely. Anything you and I was like, great. So she comes in and it was just like so much fun. It was just like this super, super fun, like honest, not easy, but like it was just it like made sense. Like as I was looking through the body of work and like where it would fit best to have a feature and who it would be. Obviously I knew it was Alaska, but it kind of came obvious. It was I think one of the last songs we recorded for the record. And it was perfect. It was just like it feels really good to know that like I can call on my friend Alaska. I think sometimes I have to pinch myself to be like I have like one of the most iconic, one of the most like famous and amazing drag queens in the world is on my record saying
Right.
Lagoona Blue is back in town. Like that is
Yes.
I remember hearing it back and just like I was like not crying, but I was like, what? I was like, Alaska saying Laguna Blue is back in town. Wow. I was like, I've made it. I was like, this is amazing, and so yeah, it's really invigorating and like it's so cool to know that I like can call her a sister and that she's
Yeah.
in a part of this.